welcome to my podcast called The Traumatized Man. Why is it called The Traumatized Man? Because I am traumatized. I grew up without a father, and that traumatizes you. And as I mentioned in my last video, we're in a serious epidemic in this country. We're living in a fatherless generation. Roughly over 50% of all African American young men are growing up in single homes. Roughly over 30% of Hispanic Americans are growing up in single homes. Roughly 20% Caucasian Americans are growing up in single homes. That's a problem. That's a real problem. And from what I can tell, if we don't start addressing that very soon, specifically with this generation that we have coming up, the millennials, Gen Z, it's only gonna get more serious. And I believe personally, if we're grown men, responsible men, accountable men, moral men, I believe it's our responsibility to educate these young men living out there. And in this day and age, technology, we have no excuse. So this is my contribution to that. This is my contribution to the young men that need a resource, the young men like myself that grew up in poverty, grew up in dysfunctional homes, grew up in abuse, grew up in drug addictions and alcoholism, grew up in death. Death is a bad thing to be exposed to early in life. As I mentioned before, my mother passed when I was 12 years old. That drastically impacted my life, as you would assume. As a young man, I had all this energy inside of me. As I grew older, that energy was being released all the wrong way because of the lack of guidance, because of the lack of a healthy man to come up alongside of me and say, hey, this is how we do things and this is why. There's order to this. There's a reason there's order to this. If you do it this way, you could produce a healthy harvest. Follow these instructions and there's something good on the other side. Because we miss out on that, we are a trial and error. How do you navigate through? And of course, there's all kinds of programs and there's psychiatrists and there's books. It doesn't always work that way. It's difficult. It's difficult to break yourself out of the mentality that imprisons you. It's the mold that keeps you where you're at. And in this podcast, what I want to do is I want to contribute to fathering the fatherless. I wish I had this type of resource available to me when I was young, even if it's just for an encouraging word. Like I said, I'm an uneducated migrant Mexican with a GED education. I'm a 4th-degree felon. Spent some time in the county jail, spent some time in juvenile detention centers. Grew up in poverty, grew up as a teenager running the streets, running with my friends, and experiencing whatever you experience out there as a young person, learning my way through life, trying to assess, how do I get out of this thing? I didn't want to live like this. I didn't want to be that. But I was falling into it very quickly. And one of the main reasons was because of my fatherless background. I know that if I would have just had someone come alongside of me and really grab a hold of me. And people did help me, absolutely. My uncles, who helped me very much. I'm very grateful to them, and all the aunts and uncles that helped other family members. Aunts too, and I'm very grateful to all of my family. But it did something. It did something to me that set me back, just in regular everyday life, and it begins to label you. It begins to create who you are, and you accept it. And that's what's happening to a lot of you young men out there today. Fatherless young men. No guidance. And you're figuring this out on your own. And if you're growing up in a single home, mama only knows how to do what mama does, which is love you. No, nothing against mama. This has nothing to do with single mothers. If anything, it's a responsibility of absent fathers. That said, I don't think having too much of one thing is a good thing, and sometimes having too much of mama, it could be a bad thing. So throughout my years, I mentioned that I've helped in different ministries and different churches, specifically in the men's groups, men's leaders. I've helped organize events. I led events. I led groups. We used to have a consistent breakfast, men's breakfast. What we talked about was manhood. What is a godly man? What does that look like? And because of my experience and because of my passion for mentorship and leadership and manhood, I always kind of ended up helping in some ways. Anyways, throughout that process, I began to experience parents, mothers, single mothers within the church that would say, hey, would you mentor my son? Or the son would be like, yeah, hey, I want to connect with you. I want to get better. Let's do it. And we would meet sometimes for coffee. Sometimes, they'd come over to the house. I'd go over to their house. And we would just talk life, talk where they were at in life. Typically young kid, couple baby mamas, multiple kids, and they're typically it's a young guy, in 1920 that has issues growing up, has issues getting a job. So anyways, used to mentor young men, and through that process, I began to notice that a big part of these young men's problem, I coined this phrase, and I say this with caution because I don't mean to insult anybody or say anything derogatory, but I used to basically say these are sissified mama's boys. And I used to say that because I would notice that mom would definitely take the role of mama bear when it came to her son, her cub. And I always used to use this example that if you go to the woods and a little baby cub comes up and starts playing with you, and mama bear shows up, do you think that she cares that the little baby cub came to you, started playing with you? No. Mama bear is going to do one thing and one thing only. She's going to take you out. Because it's never the cub's fault. That's love. That's love to the death, and it's an important love. It's a love that we need. And I'm very grateful for the love of a mother. I see that in my wife. But without the balance of the man, the masculine, healthy man, not the toxic masculine man, the masculine, healthy man, this young man begins to grow up one-sided. And that's an unhealthy thing from what I could tell. Now, one thing that I learned about myself is I never had an opportunity to be a mama's boy, and my mom really wasn't like that. I missed out on all of that. So as hard as that was, I did notice that I didn't have some of these tendencies. One thing that I learned, and I mentioned before, growing up as a migrant Mexican, a portion of my young life, I learned the meaning of hard work. And watching my stepfather, he's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. Not having that there, not having that protection there, I realized I needed to fend for myself. And that has benefited me in life, but it also has hindered me in life. And I started to realize that these young men are all struggling from this syndrome called sissified mama's boys that I came up with. And I apologize if it offends any of you, but that's what I seen it as. Sissified mama's boys. And when I was growing up, it was in the prime of hip hop. When NWA was out, Dr. Dre, obviously, the Chronic album was coming out later on. For us as teenagers, it was the bomb, right? One of the big things that we used to say when we were growing up is, I ain't no punk ass bitch. That phrase to me, when I think of a punk ass bitch, is, to me, it's someone that in time of fear, in time of pain, in time to step up, that punk ass bitch is always going to back down. And the way I equated that to is if it ever came time to war, and we're all in the trenches, and I used to tell my sons all the time, this is some of the stuff people didn't agree with. I would say, I ain't raising no sissified mama's boys. I ain't raising no boys that's going to stay in the trenches while the real men go out and fight. The boys that are going to hide and cry when the bullets are flying. I'm not raising that. I'm raising men. I'm raising masculine men and healthy men. Being a man doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It means, yeah, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it all together overnight. But having the foundation in your heart and your mind, the foundation of manhood, could drastically help you progress forward in your life, whatever that may be, in a relationship, in your career. But you got to get past these mentalities that have been implanted in you, that you think is normal. What's normal is work. And that's what I want to get back to. I want to get back to, what does that mean, work? Before I was mentioning, hey, if you don't have a job, you need to go get a job. If you're living in your mom's basement, or you got a bedroom in your mom's house, and you're over 18 years of age, 18 years or older, if you're that age and up and you're a young man, you need to be paying rent. You need to go out and get a job, and you need to pay rent. That's what I'm talking about when I say sissified mama's boys. Because real men don't let mamas take care of you. Real men take care of mama. That's what real men do. And if you're lying around playing video games, acting like you're still in high school, then that's what you are. You don't deserve respect. You deserve to get told what to do. But the problem is most of these sissified mama's boys, it's a tough language, boys. But most of you sissified mama's boys don't even listen or respect your mother. You love your mother, but you don't respect her. You manipulate her. You manipulate her emotions. Oh, my stomach hurts. I was gonna go, but I'm getting anxiety. Real men don't get fucking anxiety. Don't say that shit. Man up. Do what you gotta do for your family. Then you can talk about anxiety. Do what you gotta do to help your mom out. Do what you gotta do to help your girlfriend out. Help your wife out. Help your sister. This is how you change your life. Is you take this first step of work. You implement it and you do it. And you do it consistently for over a year. Not a week. Not a month. A year. And a year later, you tell me. You give it 100%. Not half-ass. You give it 100%. 100%. And that's how you start. Right there. If you're a grown man, and if you're 16 and over, you're a grown man, you need to figure out how you can contribute. You need to figure out how you can stop being a consumer. You need to be a producer. Real men produce. That's why I tell you, nothing good in life comes without work. And you only produce positive things, successful things, when you put the work in. You go through the pain. Life is not about making your life easy. You shouldn't want it. There's a gratification. Like I said, it's the curse of this earth. It's the curse on us. There's a gratification behind hard work. If you have anxiety, if you're depressed, work. You work. That's how you get rid of it. It's scientifically proven. You have endorphins that get released and give you runner's high. Those endorphins make you feel like you're taking antidepressants. My daughter and I do it all the time. We're having a rough day. We get into the gym. By the time we're done, we're laughing, joking, feeling strong, feeling confident, feeling like we accomplished something. That's the benefit here, boys. That's the blessing. That's why it's the first step to being a man. And that's where you start. You clean your room. A psychologist said that, Peterson, to look at what the state of someone's mind is, look at their room. It's trash, their mind is trashed. Jordan Peterson. Clean. It helps you think straighter. It's extremely important. You need to work for a year. Go to job for a year. Come back and talk to me. Work out for a year. Come back and talk to me. I mean, really do it. Don't go in there and talk to people. Don't go in there and socialize. Put your headphones in and bust your ass. Or work out at home. I work out with 2 dumbbells and a bar stool and a punching bag. Makeshift your own pull-up bar. That's what I did. So if you're a fatherless young man today, right now, first step is to go work. So work's going to do a few things for you. If you can hold a job for a year and not quit, it's going to give you the gratification of doing something, completing something, right? The fact that you could do it. If you haven't held a job for longer than a year, you need to hold it for a lot longer than a year, but still, bring some income in. Work, in general, like we said, you start sweating a little bit. It's an antidepressant. And then the other thing it does, it teaches you, young man, who is not used to submitting yourself to authority, to begin to learn to submit yourself to authority. Because that's your problem. Your mom is not your authority. She's your mom. She loves you. She cooks for you. She cleans for you. She treats you like a little prince. That's not going to help you. You need to be a real man. You need to work. You shouldn't be a grown man living in anybody's house and not paying bills. You need to pay bills. Well, my mom doesn't charge me anything. Good. Now give her something anyways. Mom, I'm going to give you $200 a month. for rent and just do it. Or $50 a month, something. Do what you can. You need to work on developing a workout routine. You need to develop something that makes your blood pump. Well, I don't got money for a gym, so I don't have 2 dumbbells. Look on Craigslist. Sure, you get something for $20. You don't even need a lot of weight. Work on your form. Do a lot of reps. YouTube tells you everything. Tells you all the different workouts you can do with dumbbells. We need to focus on working, guys. Focus on yourself. The gratification of accomplishing something. The gratification of actually, if you're heavier and you lose weight, you don't know the high you will get after losing weight. If you're skinny and you want to build muscle, you don't know the high you'll get gaining muscle and the confidence you'll get. It'll clear your mind. You need to work. It's instrumental. You need to take up your responsibilities. A man is someone who protects and provides. That's the basics of it. And if you're not protecting and providing from nobody, you're not a man. Sorry. You're not. You need to protect and provide. Now there's a lot more to this, right? But this is the beginning. This is the beginning. My advice to you right now, go find something to do. And do it every single day. Clean your house. Wash your dishes. Definitely get a job. Be responsible. Be a good steward of your money. Take pride in everything you lay your hands to do. Take pride in yourself. Put effort into things. You can't shortcut everything. Just think about this. And how long can you go around conning the earth? And where is it going to take you? What's it going to do for you? We can go around acting like we're men. We're big and tough. We got it all going on. We got it put together. We know so much. But the reality is, your life speaks for itself. You can't hide who you are. You can try to wear the mask anytime you want. The good intellectual is going to see right through it. You're going to use certain phrases and words and actions that's going to reveal your insecurity, reveal your defensiveness, the spirit of rebellion. That's what happens to young bucks when they grow up without a father. They gain the spirit of rebellion. And then he grows up to be 6 foot. And he's used to throwing temper tantrums because that's what he was taught. Don't get your way, throw a temper tantrum. Now he's 14 and he's punching holes in the wall. It's too late. It's about being accountable for your actions. And it starts with, are you lazy? Do you work? And if you don't, then you better get off your ass and go work. And don't worry about what people say. Don't worry about whether you're going to make a bunch of money or be rich right away. Stop trying to get rich quick. Love, enjoy the journey, the pain. That's what men do. You learn to enjoy the pain, because if you're enduring the right kind of pain, there's going to be success on the other side. And when you're working out and you're help cleaning and you're fixing things, that's the right kind of pain. So my recommendation to all you young bucks out there, let's get to work. We got to change this. We got to change what's happening to us men. There is a healthy masculinity. Masculinity is in every man. He could be the big tough, fighter, muscular guy, athletic guy, or he could be the intellectual. The intellectual is masculine as well. The intellectual just uses his brain to figure out problems, provide solutions, provide protection, provide security. But it's in us, no matter what. As males, we're masculine, whether you like it or not. And you're not going to eradicate it. You're not going to get rid of it. What you're going to do is cause it to come out all the wrong ways. But we live in a fatherless society. And we need fathers to step up and father these young bucks that never had dads, don't even know what it looks like. This is how I talk to young men, straight up. Because I tell them, I come from poverty. I come from nothing. Seeing abuse, experiencing abuse. I grew up on the streets. I grew up scrapping, doing drugs and alcohol, smoking at a young age. I already made these mistakes, guys. I made so many mistakes, and I want to help you. There is a healthy way to come out of this. There's a way to fit in and survive in this society that we live in. And thrive. Not survive, thrive. So that you're not looking at the wrong examples. That's the other problem, people, is these young men, you're not going to take masculinity out of their lives. You're going to make it toxic. Unless you direct it. You teach them on where to channel it to. You get someone that understands what they're going through. And you teach them how to challenge it, harness it, drive it. And it points to good things. It starts with self-discipline. And self-discipline is to go work. Go work. Step up, guys. God bless.